Bishop, if you could. Good evening, and welcome to the 2025 Pacem and Terris Peace and Freedom Award Ceremony. My name is Kent Ferris, and I'll be your host for this evening. I'll be joined by other members of the Pacem and Terris Award Planning Committee for portions of our event. The Award Planning Committee and contributors represent the following organizations: the Diocese of Davenport, St. Ambrose University, Augustana College, Islamic Center of the Quad Cities Moline, the Catholic Messenger, Muslim Community of the Quad Cities, Congregation of the Humility of Mary, Davenport, Sisters of St. Benedict, Rock Island, Sisters of St. Francis, Clinton, Sisters of St. Francis, Dubuque. In June, Kathleen Hattrup kind of captured the moment as we learned of Pope Leo, but also referenced St. John the 23rd, who was the author of Pacem and Terris. We join the saints in praying for peace. We especially entrust to Our Lady, Queen of Peace, the intention of world peace. In his 1963 encyclical Pacem and Terris, Peace on Earth, St. John the 23rd voiced this prayer: "Let us then pray with all fervor for this peace which our divine Redeemer came to bring us. May he banish from the souls of men whatever might endanger peace. May he transform all men into witnesses of truth, justice, and brotherly love. May he illumine with his light the minds of rulers so that, besides caring for the proper material welfare of their peoples, they may also guarantee them the fairest gift of peace. Finally, may Christ inflame the desires of all men to break through the barriers which divide them, to strengthen the bonds of mutual love, to learn to understand one another, and to pardon those who have done them wrong. Through his power and inspiration, may all peoples welcome each other to their hearts as brothers, and may the peace they long for ever flower and ever reign among them." With our hearts united to Our Lady and to the whole Church, we recall Pope Leo's very first words to us as successor of Peter: "Peace be with you." The Pacem and Terris Peace and Freedom Award was created in 1964 by the Davenport Catholic Interracial Council. Since 1978, the award has been presented by the Quad City Pacem and Terris Coalition. The award honors Pope John the 23rd and commemorates his encyclical Pacem and Terris, Peace on Earth, which calls on all people to secure peace among all nations. Many of those that are part of our litany of past recipients may be familiar to you for the efforts at advancing peace and justice in our country and around the world. Among them are 7 who have also received the Nobel Peace Prize, 1 who has been canonized. Recipients have included those from the 3 major Abrahamic religions and leaders from outside faith traditions, people of goodwill. What has become clear in honoring the work of all these leaders is that the core values of human dignity and the commitment to the good can bring us all together, can be common ground in good times and in more challenging times. It is the challenging times that often call for the courageous action for change that may not be immediate or easy, but as past recipient Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us, but it bends towards justice. For any particular threads that connect them with some of the past recipients. In reflecting on our, here are but a few that came before him who responded similarly to the urgent need that they identified. Dom Helder Câmara, gentle shepherd of the poor of northwestern Brazil, embraced the impoverished and gave sharp prophecy to the wealthy. He received this award in 1975. Maria Julio Hernandez, director of the Human Rights Committee, and spoke for the victims of the long civil war in El Salvador, 1991. Bishop Samuel Ruiz demonstrated great courage in his fight against violence and injustice inflicted against the poor and oppressed in Chiapas, Mexico, 1996. Adolfo Perez Esquivel inspired the world with his gospel-rooted work on behalf of Argentina's disappeared ones, 1999. Lech Walesa, defender of the rights of workers in the face of communist repression in Poland, became a global leader for freedom and democracy, 2001. Cardinal Alvaro Leonel Ramazzini has drawn the world's attention to the exploitation of natural resources by multinational companies adversely affecting the poor and indigenous people of Guatemala, 2011. Reverend Gustavo Gutierrez Marino, theologian and Dominican priest. He was recognized as a prominent figure in Latin American Catholicism. In 1971, his book, A Theology of Liberation, led many to view him as the founder of liberation theology. At this time, Gail Francione, a member of our committee, will assist us with the litany of past recipients.
If I stood at the podium, you wouldn't see me. Am I on? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. The Pacem Peace and Freedom Award former recipients include John F. Kennedy, John Howard Griffin, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., R. Sargent Shriver, A. Philip Randolph, Reverend James Groppe, Saul Alinsky, Dorothy Day, Harold Hughes, it doesn't want to light, Dom Helder Câmara, Saint Teresa of Calcutta, Bishop Thomas Gumbleton, Crystal Lee Sutton, Bishop Ernest Unterküffler, George Kennan, Helen M. Caldecott, Cardinal Joseph Bernardin, Bishop Maurice Dingman, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Eileen Egan, Mayreed Corrigan McGuire, Maria Julia Hernandez, Cesar Chavez, Daniel Berrigan, Jim Wallace, Bishop Samuel Ruiz, Jim and Shelley Douglas, Helen Prejean, Adolfo Esquivel, Monsignor George Higgins, Lech Walesa, Dorothy Marie and Gwen Hennessy, Arthur Simon, Don Mosley, Bishop Salim Ghazal, Monsignor Marv Modet, Hildegard Goss-Meyer, Rev. John Deere, Cardinal Alvaro Ramazzini, Kim Bobo, Jean Vanier, Simone Campbell, the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, Gustavo Gutierrez Marino, Widad Akrai, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Bishop Munib Yunan, Sister Norma Pimentel, Atya Atfab and Cheryl Alinsky, Chad Progracki,
Barb Arland Fye will now share with us the biography of tonight's recipient.
Bishop Silvio José Báez Ortega was born April 28, 1958, in the Archdiocese of Managua, Nicaragua. As a child, he enjoyed playing baseball with his brothers and the kids from the barrio, using balls made of socks and hitting the balls with their hands. As a young college student, he studied engineering before entering the Order of Discalced Carmelites in 1979 in Costa Rica. 6 years later, in 1985, he was ordained to the priesthood. He ministered as rector of the Seminary of Discalced Fathers in Guatemala and served in academic positions in Guatemala and in Rome. Pope Benedict XVI appointed him auxiliary bishop of Managua in 2009, the position Bishop Báez continues to hold in exile in the United States. He is among hundreds of Nicaraguans expelled or deported in recent years for criticizing the regime of President Daniel Ortega and Vice President Rosario Murillo. Bishop Báez and his fellow Nicaraguan citizens began protesting the Ortega regime in 2014 over political corruption, with tensions escalating over the next decade. In 2019, the late Pope Francis asked Bishop Báez to leave the country to protect him from death threats. Bishop Báez and other Catholic leaders had served as intermediaries between Ortega and anti-government protesters. However, in April 2018, Ortega's crackdown on protests turned deadly. As violence and killings escalated, the bishop became increasingly vocal in his criticism of the government, and Ortega accused him of plotting a coup in October of 2018. An interview posted 6 years ago on the Carmelite Quotes blog underscores Bishop Báez's conviction that justice leads to peace. Asked to describe what should distinguish a Christian today, he said, "In the first place, a Christian must distinguish himself by a very clear stance in favor of human dignity. Let's not forget, God became man and died to save us. That's why for Christians, this commitment in favor of humanity is decisive. Their ability to create memberships based on a sense of community, working to build more peaceful societies, more just, human, more, taking care of the planet, because the faith has an ecological dimension." In 2023, Bishop Báez was among 94 people that a Nicaraguan court called dissidents and stripped them of their citizenship. The judge said they had, quote, carried out criminal acts to the detriment of peace, sovereignty, independence, and self-determination of the Nicaraguan people, according to BBC News. That same year, Bishop Báez received the National Endowment for Democracy's Service Medal. Bishop Báez, quote, bravely demanded freedom in Nicaragua and suffered severe consequences as a result, U.S. Representative Mario Diaz-Balart of Florida said in a news release after presenting the award to Bishop Báez. Under the oppressive grip of the Ortega regime, even the small spaces available to clergy, religious schools, charitable organizations, and even the order that Mother Teresa founded have been stripped of their legal status while their leaders are imprisoned or forced into exile, Diaz-Balart said. The people of Nicaragua will be free, and it will be due to the relentless courage, faith, and work of individuals such as Bishop Báez. Today, Bishop Báez teaches at a seminary in Boynton Beach, Florida, but continues to speak out for human rights. Even from afar, Bishop Báez has continued his persistent call for justice for the people of his beloved Nicaragua.
And now to present the award, Most Reverend Dennis G. Walsh, Bishop of the Diocese of Davenport.
Thank you. Miguel Moreno reminded me when we were picking up Bishop Báez at the airport that today is an anniversary in a sense. 7 years ago today, Bishop Báez was attacked by paramilitary forces in Nicaragua, attacked Bishop Báez, the papal nuncio, as well as the Cardinal Archbishop of Managua. They were attacked physically, and today is the 7th anniversary of that attack. So thank you, Bishop Báez, for your faithfulness in standing with the poor, standing against oppression, a constant voice of the church calling people to justice. So thank you very much for your faithful commitment. I invite you to come forward when we present the award. So the award says, Most Reverend Dennis G. Walsh, Bishop of Davenport and Pacem and Terris Coalition of the Quad Cities, in light of your lifelong commitment to peace and justice, the coalition recognizes your commitment as a shepherd of the poor and a courageous defender of human rights and democracy, who has endured physical injury and threats to your life while pursuing mediation between government and pro-democracy forces in your beloved Nicaragua. Your perseverance, built on responding to the call of the gospel, has inspired you to seek peace by working for justice. Bishop Báez, you truly embody the words of Pope John the 23rd as a spark of light, a center of love, a vivifying leaven to your brothers and sisters in Nicaragua and around the world. Given on this 9th day of July in Davenport, Iowa.
And if the two of you want to stand next to each other while holding, then there'll be opportunity for photos.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor to receive the prestigious Pacem in Terris Award tonight. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude for this significant recognition. This award is not primarily a personal honor, but a recognition of the tireless struggle of many courageous and dignified Nicaraguans who have worked and continue to work for peace, freedom, and the defense of human rights in our country. I sincerely thank those who made this recognition possible, the Diocese of Davenport, particularly his bishop, my brother, Dennis Walsh. Thank you for your words and for your welcome. And the University of St. Ambrose, the different faith communities, and all the members of the Pacem in Terris Award Committee. Thank you all for your solidarity with those who believe that the world can be transformed through compassion, hope, and commitment to peace and justice beyond borders and cultural differences. This award bears the name of the historical encyclical Pacem in Terris by Pope John XXIII, which is a universal call to understanding among people and nations based on truth, justice, love, and freedom. It is a message that resonates today with more urgency than ever in Nicaragua and in many countries where violence, repression, imprisonment, and forced exile persist. The Pacem in Terris Award serves as a reminder that social peace cannot be defined simply as the mere absence of violence achieved by the imposition of one sector over others. As Pope Francis said, peace is built every day through listening, authentic dialogue, and the ability to build bridges, even when they seem impossible. Similarly, peace is fostered through social equity, inclusion of the poor, respect for human rights, and the courage to denounce injustice. This evening, I accept this recognition on behalf of the Catholic Church of Nicaragua for his faithfulness to the gospel of Jesus and its constant commitment to serving the people of God. The Nicaraguan Church, even amid adversities, has stood by those who suffer the most, the poor, the exiled, and those who have been victims of injustice, making it visible with his presence and testimony that God's love does not abandon anyone. Like Jesus, the church in my country has been like the Good Samaritan in the parable, a community that has been down to listen and accompany those who suffer, to heal the wounds of those who bleed, and to communicate the hope of the risen Christ to those who feel discouraged and downcast. As you know, working for peace in Nicaragua over the past few years has been a difficult challenge. In Nicaragua, voices calling for justice and freedom have been silenced, slandered, persecuted, and violated by a dictatorial regime that tries to impose acceptance of a false normality, making the international coexistent with another dictatorship in Latin America. The regime has been tried to silence and discredit also the church. But the church's commitment to freedom, peace, and justice remain because it is rooted and grounded in Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace. It comes from an ideology or a political program. Rather, it stems from a deep spiritual experience inspired by the mysterious dynamic of Christ's love, who though he was rich, became poor to enrich us with his poverty. In my case, from the day Jesus touched my heart, transformed my existence, and called me to follow him, I have dedicated my life to proclaiming with words and deeds the gospel of peace. I am convinced that only through the word of Jesus can we build just and peaceful societies. As a bishop of the Catholic Church, I strive to live each day as a disciple of Jesus and dedicate myself as a pastor of God's people. The saving power of Jesus sustains me every day and drives me even amid shadows to walk in the light of the gospel of Christ, meditated and contemplated in the silence of prayer. It is in prayer and union with Christ that I find the strength and wisdom to be his witness amidst the darkness that enveloped my beloved country. Today, as I receive this award, I am also honored to represent the many brave men and women of Nicaragua who, despite persecution, repression, and exile, continue to fight for a future of freedom and justice for our people. Their faces, their stories of suffering and hope enrich and inspire my Episcopal ministry. I accept this award on behalf of those who have lost their lives fighting for the country's freedom, those who have lost their freedom for denouncing injustices, those who have suffered and continue to resist, those who even in prison or exile amid great adversities have not stopped dreaming of a Nicaragua where the dignity of every person is sacred, where difference is celebrated and justice prevails over fear. To be honest, the challenges we face in Nicaragua at this moment are far from over. The dictatorial regime that has taken hold in my country continues to cling to power, brutally crushing all dissent, denying our people the most basic dignity, and turning the entire country into a vast prison. But we are convinced that with God's grace, the spiritual support of the Universal Church, and the adequate pressure from the international community, we will not tire continuing to dream and fight peacefully for justice and freedom in Nicaragua. Thank you all, because every gesture of international solidarity, every embrace received from afar, strengthens our hope that peace is possible and that human rights must be defended without exception as the in my pastoral work, I have learned useless when it comes to defending people's life and dignity. The unwavering desire for freedom, the radical choice for peaceful solution, and the respect for human life remain the light that illuminates the hearts, steps, and projects of Nicaraguans who dream of a free Nicaragua. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate my sincere gratitude for this recognition. I also appreciate your solidarity and prayer for my country. Today, as I accept this award, I reaffirm my commitment to continue working with God's grace for a world where no human being is denied their fundamental rights, and for the ideal so necessary and urgent today of peace on earth. Thank you all very much. May God bless you.
Now for our closing prayer, Lisa Killinger of the Muslim community of the Quad Cities.
O God, Lord of the worlds, you have blessed us this evening to be in the presence of Bishop Báez and to honor him for his peace and justice work. His efforts have created peace and justice by speaking truth to power. May we learn from his example. Let us go forth from this gathering inspired not only by Bishop Báez's work, but also the work of the many Pacem and Terris awardees that have come before him. Creator of the universe, let us be accompanied by your grace and grant us the strength that comes only from you to do good works. Your beautiful beatitudes say, blessed are the peacemakers. Make us all worthy of walking that path of peace, sowing the seeds of justice in our short time here on earth. I will share a verse from my faith tradition that reminds us, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, to each of you, God has sent a law and a way. If it had been God's will, he would have made you all religion, but that was not God's will. Instead, God intended to test you in all of you in what you have been given. So compete with one another in doing good works. To God we will all return, and then God will show you the truth about that which you used to differ. Bishop Báez has been doing just that, competing in doing good works, and his work, we hope, will lead us and others to do the same. Bless Bishop Báez and all who are gathered here, and bless the peacemakers who do the good works, large and small, in the open and in secret, where there is no one but God to witness those wonderful good deeds. I will close with a short verse that's traditionally used in the Islamic faith when you're closing an event. It's called time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate and the most merciful. In this time, truly, humanity is in a state of loss, except those who have faith and those who do righteous deeds, and remind each other of truth and remind each other of patience. So let us go forth reminding each other of truth and patience through our own actions to lean into peace, peace within our own souls, peace with our family and friends, peace in our communities, and peace in our nation and our world. Let us always be mindful of those who are suffering injustice and help us find it in our hearts to act and speak in the way of God's peace, now and always. Amen.
Concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And the two bishops are on this side of the room and the exit's over there. So if you want to interact with them one more time, then be ready, bishops. Thank you.